Have you ever had that nagging feeling that your life is a little too perfect, like you're living inside a movie set where the back of the houses are just plywood and scaffolding? My name is Chloe, and 3 months ago I thought I'd won the genetic and romantic lottery. I was engaged to Marcus, a brilliant pediatric surgeon who looked like a fitness model and treated me like a delicate piece of art. He bought us a stunning, ultra-modern house in the hills, all glass walls and polished concrete. There was only one rule. The utility room in the basement was off-limits because it housed the high-voltage server for the smart home system and the backup generators. Marcus said it was dangerous for someone without his technical training. I laughed it off, calling him my protective nerd, until the night the house's AI started talking to me in a voice that wasn't programmed at the factory. It was a Tuesday night and Marcus was stuck at the hospital for an emergency surgery. I was in the kitchen when the overhead speakers crackled. Usually the home sync voice is a polite, feminine British accent, but this time it was a glitchy, distorted male voice that sounded like it was struggling to breathe. It whispered one thing: check the vent in the guest suite. I froze, thinking the system had been hacked. I went to the guest room, unscrewed the floor vent, and found a small, leather-bound ledger. It wasn't a diary, it was a payroll. Marcus wasn't just a surgeon. He was paying a monthly stipend to 3 different women in 3 different states, but they weren't mistresses. The ledger listed them as Beta 1, Beta 2, and Beta 3. Next to my name on the final page, it simply said, current subject, final revision. The air in the house suddenly felt thin, like the oxygen was being sucked out of the room. I took my heavy flashlight and headed for the basement. I knew I was breaking the only rule of our relationship, but the utility room door didn't require a key, it required a biometric scan. I pressed Marcus's iPad, which I'd swiped from his nightstand, against the sensor. The heavy steel door hissed open. Inside wasn't a server room, it was a terrifyingly accurate replica of my childhood bedroom. The exact same faded floral wallpaper, the same cracked mirror, even the specific scent of lavender detergent my mother used to use. On the desk was a stack of dossiers. Marcus hadn't met me by accident at that coffee shop. He had been studying me for 3 years. He knew my favorite childhood books, my greatest fears, and the exact tone of voice that made me feel safe. But the emotional twist that made my knees buckle was the observation log. I found out that Marcus wasn't a surgeon at all. He had been fired from his residency years ago for unethical psychological experimentation. He had used his inheritance to build this smart home as a giant Skinner box. Every argument we had, every romantic surprise he gave me was a calibrated test to see how a human heart responds to perfect manipulation. He was trying to build the perfect wife by isolating me from my past and replacing my memories with his curated version of reality. I realized the emergency surgery tonight wasn't real. He was likely in the monitoring sublevel, watching me through the hidden cameras I now saw blinking in the corners of the childhood room. I didn't try to run out the front door. I knew he'd have it remotely locked. Instead, I used the heavy flashlight to smash the home sync central hub in the utility room. The house went into a manual override, the emergency lights flashing red. In the chaos, I crawled through the HVAC service tunnel that led to the garage. As I scrambled out, I saw Marcus's car pulling into the driveway. He didn't look angry, he looked fascinated, like a scientist watching a lab rat find a new exit. He shouted, "Chloe, wait, the experiment isn't over, you're the only one who made it this far." I didn't look back. I drove my car through the closed garage door, the wood splintering like toothpicks, and I didn't stop until I reached the state police barracks. The shocking ending: the police raid found the basement empty. Marcus had a kill switch that wiped the servers and ignited a localized thermite charge, destroying all the evidence of the utility room before they arrived. When they checked his medical records, Marcus didn't exist. The man I was going to marry was a ghost who had stolen the identity of a deceased doctor years ago. Today I live in a small apartment with no smart tech, no Alexa, no smart bulbs, nothing. But sometimes when my phone's voice assistant accidentally triggers, it doesn't ask how it can help. It says in that same distorted male voice, subject 4 has successfully integrated into the wild, monitoring continues. I'm not sure if I ever actually escaped or if this new life is just phase 2 of his study.